Roberts, and this is True Divine 44. You're catching me on YouTube, probably Facebook, maybe, but please do check out the other socials that I have going on to stay up to date and help them grow also, because you never know what's going to happen with the stranglehold that a lot of media platforms are enjoying putting on people. So it's great to build up audiences elsewhere also, so that there's a safety measure there of being able to still get the same content should anything happen. So this is the reading for the 10th of June 2021. It is tarot, and it is looking at the energies of the day that you may feel within you, around you, and indeed within others. Take what resonates. It is general. Leave what does not. There's no offense taken. And leave a comment, because I always love to hear how you navigate in the energies. Please, please like, please share. And of course, if you haven't already, it would be great if you press the subscribe button. So this is, let's go. On the bottom of the deck, we have, that's muddled up a bit. Okay. So on the bottom of the deck, we have the Two of Cups. So this is speaking to, Two of Cups. So this is speaking to the divinities within, the divine feminine, divine masculine, the balance of the two. It's speaking to a balanced emotional body. And then for some people, it will be speaking to what you're being called to manifest into your reality, or you may be lucky enough to already have it in your reality, that you have this energy of balance within in your divinities reflected on the outside in another. And there's two wholes coming together to make a whole, two whole people coming together to make a whole, a balanced emotional body meeting another balanced emotional body. So this is very loving, and it is about balance within that love, being able to be individuals but come together as a whole individuals to create a tulpa, so to speak, of a relationship that then brings on a life of its own, and you meet together within that relationship, and it is a completely different being almost to the two individuals that made it. A little bit like a child. When a child is born, they have many aspects of both parents, looks, traits, the DNA, but at the same time, a new energy is born within them, an individual energy. So it's about looking at relationships that way too, and asking yourself, what are you feeding into? What are you molding this clay model, so to speak, of your relationship? How is it being chiseled and formed, and how is it being appreciated? How is it being reconciled? Because things happen, people grow, people change. And so for those of you who are blessed enough to have somebody who is also on the path of growth, then this is a beautiful thing and should be given reverence for sure. For those of you who are finding this for yourself, this is also a beautiful story. This is you creating a whole new energetic body from the balance within these two divinities that you're exploring, which will create a whole new reality around you and attract the right caliber of people within you. Now, we've got on the bottom of the clarifying deck the Two of Cups in reverse. And so again, a little bit like last night's live stream, the repeating cards from different decks, but in reversed positions to each other. This is the opposition. This is the makeup of the High Priestess, the two pillars that the secret societies, that the Freemasons use to manipulate and create the systems that we are in. This is the use of opposing forces. So it may be that you are being challenged either within your own divinities or because of that, there's a challenge to the relationship if you are in one, or even friendships that come together as soulmate type energies, knowing each other so well. And this is a beautiful thing, but also it can be a very negative thing, in that those two opposing forces, like the Kundalini energetic snakes, can aid each other up the ladder, so to speak, of the spine to greater enlightenment. So whatever outside forces or manifesting to challenge this relationship, to try and keep these people apart, or pull people apart who are already within this type of relationship with themselves and or another, then it is for you as a couple, it is for you as a divine being in your own right, as an individual, to see this as a challenge and know what's up. So basically, using this opposing force to not devolve, to not break down, to not separate your divinities, but using them to level up, so to speak. So whatever you're faced with, you're using that opposing force to fuel you further, to raise you up higher. And so this would be alchemy in its greatest way. This would be using those opposing forces as they should be used. Now, there on the other side of things, there are people that are being the wider stage I want to speak to is that they are deliberately confusing and mixing up and dissecting and merging together more so what divinity of divine feminine and divine masculine means. They're trying to absolutely make people's mindset be that means something about sex, gender. And this is what we're seeing, where they really are coming for the soul, the spirit, the divinity. And they are doing that by attacking the outside, confusing children, pushing children into fixed mentalities about themselves when they should be allowed to explore with this transgender push. And so all of this, on the surface, it's very dark. On the surface, it's very annoying. But what is really it's meant for, the deeper seated separation of the person from the soul, from their navigational boat through the realms, is really deep and dark, and it's nasty, and it feels like once in a millennia type of thing that happens, this hardcore attack and separation of souls. And so a lot of people also will be noticing this, the aware and the awake people will be noticing reports, as I warned about early on, coming in, of people feeling separated from their empathy, from their compassion, of people acting very strangely because those that were attached greatly to a soul are being torn apart from it. And there's a void there that Raven, my dear friend Raven, said in the comments yesterday on the video last night. Go and read his comment, because it's so powerful, the words that comes out of that being's mouth, in that there's a void there that is being filled. And so this is where we see people who also the non-playable characters, we see people acting very strangely in a whole myriad of ways. And this is something to be cautious about and to be warned about. This is these are some of these spirits, these entities that are filling these voids, have maybe never entered into the close proximity to us, those that dwell here. I don't want to say this out loud, but I'm going to, because it's something that's coming through for me, in that it feels like there's going to be some weird, horrible story, and I bind it up, but it's there, of people attacking animals as though they're an animal, like to eat. Don't know when that's going to come down the line. I hope not ever. But that would be the ravenous spirit that dwells within. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. So the duality of it is that those who are feeling in their divinity but are being met with an opposing force really do need to meet that opposing force with force, and use it to really level up, because we do need to create a balance in this situation. So where there's the other side of the scales of those being torn apart and filled up with the void, filled up with other beings, entities, energies, commands, codes, there is the other side where we really need to level up and push out that frequency of divinity, of sovereignty, of balance and wholeness. And it's going to be difficult. The longer as the months go on, it is going to be difficult, the kinds of things we're going to witness to try and keep our emotional balance, our divine compassion, compassionate nature, and also incorporating that with divine wisdom and staying connected to our source energy, because there are a lot of false, let's say, plugs, wires, HDMI cables flying about in the spiritual realm right now, ready to hook you up should you slip. And so we don't slip. We stay on course. We stay in our divinity. We stay balanced, and we stay super discerning of everything that is going on. And as the reading goes on, we have, again, the Three of Wands. So this speaks to there's action being taken. Things are ramping up for sure. Action being taken on all levels. It's almost hard to pull out what to say. The amount of visions and things that are popping in, it's immense. They are really trying to ramp up the squeeze, and they are being met with opposing forces. They are being met with the likes of people who I'm working in collaboration with, the Guardians 300 here, and other people like that around the world that I'm working hard to really connect up. This is where they are seeing that. They are seeing that there is a possibility that they're not just going to win. They're not just going to have everything they had on their wish list. But it takes taking action. And so taking action in your individual life to be divine and sovereign, particularly in the UK. If at this point you are listening to Boris's blunders about, oh, we may have to delay the grand reopening of the UK on the 21st of June, solstice, again, gestational spell. All of this is being spell work. This is why we need to take back our energies, particularly on the key points of the solstice. This being the 3, the 21st, 2 and 1, 3. This is where this night needs to be us connecting from around the world in our spirit selves, connecting forces energetically to stand in our divinity, doing ritual as you see fit, as to what resonates with your divine nature, but doing it and being in connection with. I'll be working with some Viking clan over here who have invited people of all walks of life. And I think that is a beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to say, this is people against a force that wants to ruin people. Not about, separation and segregation. And so this is where action must be taken, particularly on the 21st, but in each and every day. And if you are in the UK and you all are one, still muzzling, and two, pondering whether you're going to open up your business or indeed you're going to go out and support the businesses that do open up, then I don't know what to say to you. Quite frankly, you are part of the problem. And so I was screaming out at the start of this, before they mentioned lockdowns, before they said anything like that. Do not close business. Do not close small business. Do not scream for small businesses to close. And people did. So it's to take back that power. We do need to really ramp up the actions that we take in our divinity and in our sovereignty, working with and going to shop with businesses who have stayed strong throughout this, who are trying to stay strong, not just for people, but for in general humanity, but more importantly, their families. To maintain their divinity and sovereignty and help others who they employ to maintain their divinity and sovereignty. And so it is very powerful that we stay open, that we go about our lives, that we don't just go back to the normal. No, because the normal was a load of lies being told day in, day out, and a load of wealth being given to those who don't even work for it. They don't even earn it. This is where we take back our divinity and sovereignty in a different way. that yes, we're not afraid of the word reset. We are going through a cycle. They have claimed that word reset, but we all know in the spiritual community that this was at a point of some sort of reset, some sort of change. So we claim our reset and we make it happen with the actions that we take. Now, the Two of Pentacles, like yesterday, comes out in reverse. Now, these cards are put in the upright, come out, it's bounced out in reverse. This is where there's a lack of balance in people's mindsets about taking this action. There is where we will witness today the slave mentality on many levels, in many cases. That slave mentality is going to come forward, and it's shocking to see. It's shocking that we look at others and think, how can they not see? And they are under a spell, and if not under a spell, already taken over by beings that are more than happy to be in this physical reality. Also, there is the number of NPCs. So to not judge yourself on the actions of these numbers of people, to always look back to your divine nature, your divine spark, and take the action where necessary to rebalance these skills, using these opposing forces to lift you up in your divinity and sovereignty, rather than not being able to see the burning wood for the trees of where you are putting in your energy, and it's not paying off. It's not wise. Now, this can speak to relationships too. Where are you putting in your energy? Who are you supporting? Who are you maintaining with when the spark isn't there, when the balance isn't there, when the fairness isn't there? Where are you putting that energy? So again, this is affecting you, affects any children, and it also affects the collective, because it's that frequency that is being put out. Many people not living the life they truly resonate with. So to take the action today and every day to get on a path that you resonate with, get with people that you resonate with, get with people on a path that lifts you up. Yes, meeting opposing forces, but being able to do that in a way that you can play the game, so to speak, and level up as you meet with any opposing force in your life. So we have on the next card the Two of Pentacles. These were shuffled real well. Now this one came in reverse this time too. There is this imbalance of there's a bit of a spiritual rise of the underworld today. Things, portals, doors opened up, and there is this rise of the underworld, almost as though that would be depicted as dead and should stay dead, rises again. And I'm not sure how that is going to manifest in its entirety, but for sure we're going to see it manifesting through people who have infused themselves with something that has changed their cellular structure. It's been given a little bit of time to multiply within bodies, and this is where we see a one wave of the ramifications of this. It also speaks to, as individual lives, a lot of people not living the lie in their emotional state, the imbalance being there. Because with the Three of Cups clarifies this Two of Pentacles in reverse. This speaks to third parties. This speaks to either emotional affairs, wishing or a wanting or a longing, regrets, or it speaks to actual, active affairs outside of a relationship. Now, this is where we would go back to the Two of Cups and the Two of Cups on the bottom of the decks. There's opposing forces here. One trying to stay in balance and in their integrity and in their divinity, the other being in reverse. Now, this isn't to say, it would be very black and white to say, oh, this one's good, this one's bad in whatever relationship it is that I'm talking about. That doesn't work like that, because these forces have manifested this imbalance, and I think the roles could swap quite easily back and forth. You know, decisions to stay somewhere where you know you're not being treated divinely, and you know that one would turn up, and another to maybe stay somewhere for financial reasons rather than love. That would turn up. It's back and forth, and so there's this sort of game of opposing forces, but not being able to quite level up because of this third wheel. And this would be where what is being fed into. When I was talking about the relationship of anything that we come into relationship with, even if it is a project, we come into relationship with it and we meet a force with force, and another force, an energetic force or a physical force, is born, just like a child is born. Two people coming together, meeting force with force, there's a spark, and that child has traits of the two people that help make that child, but then is also its own individual being now that is going to grow and change and flourish and morph. And so this is where people haven't maybe been comfortable with that growth, change, and morphing, and it gets a bit sticky here. This is also where it would speak to the three and the three. We've got the Three of Wands with the Two of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the Two of Pentacles with the Three of Cups in reverse. This speaks to elements clashing, in that passions may flare up, emotions may flow, physical things might happen, as in like you know, maybe throwing an ornament or two. Elements are clashing, and that is because people are trying to find their feet within this, whatever this is that is changing within the relationship. It would also speak to tears in the family, where separations of families that has been hugely manufactured as force upon force upon force. Look at the infusion in said arm, or the lockdowns, the people who have been aware and been fighting against this, and the people within the family who've been just conforming. There are a lot of tears today that seem to be manifesting. But both of these sets of cards making 5 on each side. So it's building up to a change, to an end of a cycle, to a morph. But because they're sort of scattered out in different elements, it takes a bit of time, or it takes somebody in the situation, in the relationship, to be brave enough to see what's going on and speak up out of balance, from a balanced place. To be honest about what is going on, to dissect it and move on from there, however you deem it right to move on. What else does need to be said? Because this is super impactful with this Two of Pentacles, Three of Cups, Three of Wands. So a lot of generational wounds. There is this real difficulty that people are having with coming out of generational slavery, to being able to see the truth, to being able to be aware of where things are imbalanced. So it's creating a lot of drama, let's say. It's creating a lot of drama. So we go into the Four of Wands, and this is in reverse. So this speaks of the home. In its upright, it's the happy, balanced home. You've got the Two of Wands on here, Two of Wands on here, the two trees, two pillars, the two parents, the two structures that create the four pillars that would be the structure of foundation, and happiness, a happy home. In reverse, there is an imbalance. In a reverse, it might look really good on the outside. It might be that Facebook, that Instagram type story that, you know, has everything perfect, but on the inside things are breaking down. And they're breaking down because they're not resonating with one another. Now, be careful how far you go with this, how long you let this last if this resonates with you, because it will affect the children. And you don't want to be affecting children if children are involved. We also speak to this with the Seven of Wands, sorry. This would speak to those that resonate with this. You are on the upper ground. You probably are the Two of Cups in the upright. The Two of Wands is under that too, down. So you are on the upper ground. You have got the wherewithal to protect. But it's as if you can't get focused on what you do need to protect or what you're driven to protect. What is it that you're still protecting? What is it that you're still holding on to? Hey, baby. So this is where you can see she's sort of trying. She's trying to protect the food, the grain, the resources, but there's just mice coming from everywhere. There are many of them, and so it's a little bit like you don't know where to react or act first. You don't know where to look at first, what area and aspect of your life to look at first. You be careful with that, young man.
Never say that again.
Yeah, but if you drop it on your toes, it's not going to be pretty. So yeah, just be careful. Hold it, but hover it over the table. So if it drops on the table. Yeah.
I can't even hold it.
That's okay. That's why I'd rather you didn't anyway. It's a good. So the Seven of Wands speaks to, but you are in a defensive position. What are you defending yourself from? And this is where we can look out to the wider stage too, having everything reflecting on everything, is that from the wider stage, we are actually being attacked from many different gangs, so to speak, many different avenues, many different mediums and modalities. Are these attacks coming from? And so it's very difficult to see the wood for the trees, but these attacks are coming on the home. And like I said at the start of this reading, they're coming for the inner sanctum of the person, of the being. So this is a rough ride. This is a tough call. This is a lot of action-packed defense. Be very clear in what you are defending. Be very clear in where your balance is, what you resonate with. Because if you can't be clear with what you is worth still defending or worth still maintaining in your individual life, this is where they have us. Because if we can't see that in our own individual lives, then we are going to be just like whack-a-mole, you know, whack in every direction, because we can't possibly, if we can't do this in our own lives, we can't possibly with discernment look out to the wider stage and see where the attacks are coming from. Now, I want to say also there is a lot of movement. I talked about the false light of Trump and his family. I'm sorry, I know it's not popular, but that is coming. He's ramping up, talking a little bit more, you know, those speeches again. This is a spell, and many good people have fallen for it. And this is where, in our individual lives and from the wider stage, what will be deemed as the light coming to save, if anything says it's coming to save you, it's a lie. Nothing can but you. People can help each other, they can aid each other, but no one can actually save anyone from themselves. And so this is where a lot of good people have continued to hope. And it's not a judgment, it's an observation. And it's an observation that this will be the false light. I would wish that everybody who is still confused about that, I realize you don't have to trust my word, but I don't put things out there unless I'm really sure. There is this, I want you to think about, because most people that I'm witnessing, good people, discerning people that are still falling for this, they still won't separate the fact that the very thing that is creating Gen 0 on the side right now was pushed and promoted by him. And so think of that and try and give yourself an answer. And if you can't come up with a clear answer, never mind 4D chess, never mind, oh, you had to let people see the dark. No, enough people know about the dark. And, you know, it just doesn't make sense. So if you can't come up with a sensical answer, an answer that makes perfect sense, that is clear and isn't many rats running around, then please listen to the fact that if you're pushing for divinity, if you're part of a movement that does that, separate yourself from that man and his family. Separate yourself from that, because you're seeing a lot of the correlations of what was a dying death of Christianity. You know, numbers were going down. You're seeing a lot of good people with the correlations of God will save us, Jesus will come back to save us, and the correlations of that, the same way they did with protest and riot and whatnot, is that they are, you know, wearing a mask saves the NHS, you know, and the correlation of that being the saving thing is that that'll be, if you see the correlation of that with God and Christianity and patriotism, all tied up with that name. They did that. And so the movement will be given strength for a time, and then that movement is owned because it is directly correlated to that. So ask yourself those direct questions regarding that if you're still feeling confused about that, and see what answers you get. You know, put them in the comments for sure. I just want to talk about that. There's also, this reading would also speak to the monetary changes that I warned about a long time ago, the changes that have been happening to the bank. They've been upside down, mistakes being made, but also pushing forward for working towards that I know it's not popular, but the other side of you know, mining Bitcoin and whatnot. Look, they're taking it over now with some of the statements that they're making. Elon just has to say a few words and he can crash one and raise the other. And so this is where you see that it isn't a free thing that is safe from them. It is actually intrinsically tied to them, which is disappointing, I know. But there's been big changes regarding the Corporation of London, which would be the banking, the sort of Templar energy. And there has been big changes regarding that yesterday. And so this would speak to, we're going to see the ramifications of that. A worse God has taken over the old bad God. And so this is where we're going to see the ramifications of that around the world, as it, for as tiny as it is, directs a lot of the financial world. So look out for that too. Be aware of that if you are much more intelligent than I and have, you know, stocks and shares and whatnot, and know how to do that kind of thing, because you need that heads up for that. Be aware of that. Something that is going to be built up and up and up, and then all of a sudden feels like it's going to be crushed today. So I'm not sure what that would be, but it feels that way. I can see the graph going up, 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 and then something is said, boom, down it goes. And a lot of people lose a lot of money into the great void that is supposedly not traceable, yet they trace the people who supposedly held the oil line to ransom. That makes sense, doesn't it? They've had their eye on this the whole time, ready to pounce, as they always do. So keeping your divinity, take the action when needed, find that what you feel resonate, what you resonate with, what you love, this lifetime as you are right now is short. And find that love for what you want to do, find that love for the people you want to do that with, or be around. Find the love and find the balance within that, and take the action to make that happen. And it does take bravery, it does take a bit of grit to change things that have long not been changed, but that is happening nonetheless. So you may as well be the director of the change. So I appreciate you all. Thank you all so much for listening thus far. If you want any personal readings or any energy work or any spiritual coaching sessions, you can reach out to me at truedivinemedia@gmail.com. You can go to truedivine44 and drop me a message there. I appreciate everybody coming to me. You help me sustain my very loud family, and much love until next time. Balance and wholeness. Mwah.